Good morning, this is Kabani from Kabani Hotel Group. It's my pleasure to introduce our one and only John Lance for our good friend, long-time advisor, consultant, and a friend that will always be there. And John, before I introduce, you've been there with me since 2016.
Yes, thank you.
We first started our first forum in Miami in 2016, and you were very kind to give your perspective of hotel transaction in Florida. So, John is with HVS for over 25 years. He's done over thousands, maybe is it 1,000 or 10? How many?
Maybe approaching about 2,000.
Over 2,000 on appraisal, and I'm going to have him speak about what he has done. But to tell you on my experience with John is that his transaction statistics and information are very relevant and updated information that helps buyers and sellers in hospitality market and general people who are building in the market. One word comes out that many people are asked the valuation or the assessment of the appraised on getting the logistic on how to build in Florida, and he comes up with good information that you give. So please introduce yourself before we get started.
Great, thanks. So I'm John Lancet. I'm the Senior Managing Director for HVS's Miami office. I'm also responsible for the Southeast and Caribbean regions. I'm based here in Miami, and you're right, I've now, next month I'll be with the firm for 29 years, all of the time here in Miami. So our focus is primarily on valuations in Florida, and it's my pleasure to share some metrics with you and with the viewers.
As I was saying that on our 8th annual Hotel Investor Forum, John will be speaking on the transactions volume in Florida, giving a perspective of Florida. And just before, it's almost like 66 days left for our forum. And I think this opportunity for John to give us some perspective, what the audience will get at the forum and what he's saying right now. So we will have understanding, okay, as you're going through the 2024 and getting into 2025, what are the perspective from the terms of your planning going into 2025 based on the transaction volume and so what's going on in the market? So John, the first question I'll ask you, what is going on nationally in the hospitality market?
Well, for this interview, I kind of prepared and focused it on getting data for limited service and select service hotels, right? So I looked at U.S. transactions activity for the last 4 quarters. And what that revealed is that the volume of sales is down about 18%. And the average price nationwide is about $99,000 a room. If I were to compare that to Florida, the Florida pricing tends to be on average about like $25,000 to $30,000 more a room. So the U.S. so far for the last 4 quarters, we're down 18%. Florida kind of similar, we're down 17.2%. Our average price per room was $128,000, which is about 6.5% more than it was for the prior period. And we have an average cap rate of about 8.2%, which is down about 31 basis points. So that's the last 4 quarters. If I look at year to date through second quarter of 2024, if I look at the U.S., volume is down 8.3%. Average price per room, pretty close. It's about $99,000 as well for the U.S. U.S. volume's down 8.3%, but for Florida, it's down, but only 2.7%. So we're trending a little bit stronger than the U.S. as a whole, and then that differential remains the same. The average price per room for the first 2 quarters of the year, $125,000 a room. Then finally, for this last quarter, which would have been ended June 30th. U.S. volume down 9.9%. Average price $103,000. Florida volume up 11.9%.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So we finally flipped the switch, and it's really converse to what we're seeing in the U.S.
And I'm good, but how do you compare with 2023 now? Just to see what you got.
So the comparison I think is similar. I would go back to the last 4 quarters. So I would say the overall volume is down 17.2% last year, right? But we're starting to see some trends in the tides turning to increase volume.
I see. Okay, so that's if you have to, you've been doing it for so many years. Give me some reason. What is you feel is going on in the market?
No doubt that the increased interest rates have had significant influence on volume.
Okay.
I would think the interest rates and what I'm seeing in my valuations are these increased insurance costs that we're feeling that impact margins. Those are the 2 main things that I think are driving volume down. But I'm pleased to see that we're starting to get that positive.
Yeah, I think this is what we are seeing in also in transactions volume has down compared to 2023. In terms in 2022 in fact. So I think based on this. Florida is still doing better than other states, right? Am I correct?
Yes. Well, the comparison was against the U.S., and we're definitely doing better. I think for the forum, I'll be presenting on how Florida fits into the Southeast region.
Okay. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What audience should look at your forum by that time you will be very close to next 2 months. You will have better transaction understanding. How do you see that audience what is looking for?
I'll be able to give granular data for the Florida and the Southeast, and I think I'm going to be providing stats for each of the states within the Southeast for the forum. Okay. And we'll have it, with the forum being October 24th, we'll have the first 3 quarters of the year.
Yeah, you can have, that's important information,
Yeah.
A lot of people are asking me about construction, what's going on, how to get a building here in Florida, and I see our perspective is that because of the cost of construction, too much expensive land in Florida, but I still see there's a lot of activities. What is your translation say? What is going on in a development nationally or compared to Florida?
Definitely, I've seen costs come up. I was surprised recently to have a client come up and provide us with an estimated development cost for a Fairfield Inn and Suites in the Southeast that was close to $200,000 a key.
Oh, $200,000.
Yeah, total development cost, right? But what I'm seeing now, if we're to look at development in Florida, I would say the data says that Orlando is the market that's at the top for new hotel development, followed by Jacksonville, Florida Panhandle, Fort Myers, and Miami.
And Miami.
Yeah.
I see.
And then what I found interesting, I started researching of the total investment dollars that are going into Florida, how much of it is actually going to new development with these increased costs versus acquiring existing properties. And of that overall investment, the majority of it is going to acquisitions of existing assets. But it's close. So 54% of those investment dollars are going to the acquisition of existing assets, with the remaining 46% going to the construction of new assets.
And those are even limited in select service?
Yeah, all this data I'm giving for now and at the summit is for limited and select service. So we're seeing the majority of the money, the majority of the investment go to acquisitions, right? And so far, year to date, the geographic locations in Florida where those acquisitions are occurring, the top 4, Florida Panhandle's number 1, Daytona Beach number 2, Brevard County number 3, and Jacksonville number 4.
Interesting.
Comparing, that's year-to-date 2024. If I look at 2023, top 3 was Jacksonville, Fort Myers, which probably is influenced by the hurricane, right? And then followed by Daytona Beach as the 3rd.
I thought it would be somewhere in South Florida, like Palm Beach or Miami, but it's not.
No. So now I think this is very interesting. And so like for the upcoming forum, I will likely be presenting the same data, but for the Southeast and by the individual states. Where are people buying or where are people building?
Okay. So if somebody wants to build a hotel and they come to ask you to do a feasibility study, what things you require before they pick up a land? What do you advise now?
So there's market feasibility, which is really where we would test the market to confirm if it's opportune to build a hotel.
Right.
But if they really need a financial feasibility study done, we really are going to need them to provide us with reliable development costs to assume. Right. So especially because of the increases in development costs. We're not going to, even though we see a variety of budgets, we prefer that data to come from the clients than having us estimate what a potential development cost would be.
Even the lenders, the banks now requires, and I think it's been like that, but they're more careful to see after acquiring a land, feasibility, if it comes from feasibility from a group like your HVS, they consider to see that there is actually a market for building that hotel in that location. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, the metrics though in today's market has to assume like the current interest rates, and we have to make some predictions about where those interest rates will go in the future, which is so difficult right now. So those are kind of some of the assumptions behind the feasibility model that we'll have to assume. But we could do the market feasibility, all day long. They control the lands. We'll give an honest assessment of whether it makes sense to build or not. But for financial feasibility, they really are going to be best suited by coming to us with an estimated development cost.
What is your final thought, conclusion I ask you? Looking for 2025, this year has been like a different ride than normally we see. How do you see with your experience for so many years? How do you look for 2025 compared?
If I were to look at this split of investment dollars into Florida, where right now 54% is going to acquisitions and 46% to new development, I honestly believe that in 25 we're going to see more money go to acquisition of existing assets versus new build, that's really highly influenced by the increased costs. So I know it's hard to predict, but I wouldn't be surprised that acquisitions is going to be 60% more of investment dollars coming into Florida.
Interesting. Yeah. Listen, I thank you. I know it's a hectic schedule of yours. You come here. I really appreciate it. Just to let you know that John has been very supporter for our conference since I started in 2016. And each year, people come there just to listen what is his perspective for Florida market, especially going to the next year in terms of hospitality sector. Our forum is now on the Thursday, October 24, 2024, right here in downtown Marriott Marquis. This is the first time we're doing here at Marriott Marquis. We have a very good speaker lineup, both the keynote speaker, some of the best names in the industry are there. We would like you to come and see us, meet us, We have a trade show, networking, starts at 10 a.m., we'll finish at 4 p.m. But there is a lot of information provided to you, particularly this time of the year, when we all see a lot of things are uncertain in the market, what I say. Uncertain in the market in the sense that still the cost of running the property has gone up, both labor cost, the operating cost, as well as the margin has come down because the shift has happened with the interest rate is taken in there. So what we are seeing, in order to prepare you, you need a perspective of what transaction volume is happening, in development that you want to build something, how you want to do it. And the second thing, learn from some of the best speakers and network with them to see how you can go and make a profitable year 2025. We look forward to see you on Thursday, October 24, 2024 in Miami. And John, thank you so much again. I really appreciate it.
I'm grateful.
So nice of you.
I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.